Machu Picchu is the ancient and now abandoned citadel of the Incas. It is an incredible important archaeological site and rightly earns its status as being UNESCO listed. The site is high up in the Andes Mountains in Peru and was abandoned back in 1572. It is one of the world's top tourist destinations and one of the new 7 wonders of the world.
We need to find out why Machu Picchu is the ultimate bucket list experience for some.
Because of its remote location, Machu Picchu, high up on a mountainside in the Secret Valley, rules out straightforward access by road, so it can be a daunting task to reach the site. For hundreds of years, until the American archaeologist Hiram Bingham stumbled upon it in 1911, the abandoned citadel's existence was a secret known only to peasants living in the region. As the Inca has no written language, no records exist about the history of the ruins. Today, hundreds of thousands of people tramp through Machu Picchu every day, braving crowds and landslides to marvel at the mysterious splendor of one of the world's most famous man-made wonders. To get to this famous Inca citadel, you can choose between many different ways. Leaving from Cusco or the Sacred Valley, you can go by train. The train stops at Aguas, Callientes, the last town before Machu Picchu. From there, you can take the bus to the citadel. But the most unforgettable option is undoubtedly a trek. There are different treks to Machu Picchu with varying requirements.
However, trekking was not an option for us. We started our journey to Machu Picchu from Lima, the capital of Peru. The trip included a combination of planes, trains, taxis, and buses. Depending on what you want to do after reaching the site and how long you wish to stay there, and also your budget, you need to have a sort of plan for your trip. We needed to get to Cusco from Lima, from Cusco to Ollantaytambo, and from there to Aguas Callientes, Machu Picchu Pueblo, the town nearest to Machu Picchu.
The journey started in the morning.
How are you doing?
There are plenty of flights from Lima to Cusco. Companies such as LATAM Airlines, Viva Air Peru, Sky Airlines, Delta operate direct flights from Lima to Cusco. We had our flight to Cusco at 8:40 a.m. The flight is about 1 hour and 20 minutes and costed about $60 per person. We reached Cusco at around 10 a.m.
But he is the number 9. In total,
we grabbed a taxi from Cusco airport to get to Cusco Plaza de Armas, near which the minibus station to Ollantaytambo is located.
1, 3, 13 kings.
tribute to the amazing taxi driver who told us about Cusco in depth.
But Cusco especially.
And we have learned that Cusco want to be independent from Peru.
The first one industry is mining, friend. Mining. Yeah. The mining. On the mining we are making.
Situated in the Peruvian Andes, Cusco developed under the Inca ruler Pachacutec into a complex urban center with distinct religious and administrative functions. Wherever you are coming from is probably much lower than Cusco. Cusco, the capital of the Inca Empire, located at around 4,000 meters above sea level, where lack of oxygen is the only thing that can prevent you from enjoying your trip. For some visitors, the first hours in Cusco can be summarized as shortness of breath, a discomfort in the body, dizziness, headaches, stomachaches, even vomiting.
Altitude sickness is real. I really felt it. Fatigue, shortness of breath. Walking 1 block could feel like walking 10 blocks, carrying a backpack full of rocks. That was really how I was feeling. You can avoid altitude sickness by drinking a lot of water before and during your trip to Cusco, by avoiding heavy meals. You can also take an over-the-counter pill helping with altitude sickness. And one of the most common way of dealing with altitude sickness is coca leaf.
Coca is the best natural medicine to combat altitude sickness. It was even considered sacred because of its curative powers, and is still used in the same way now as it was in the time of the Incas. Coca leaf is the raw material for the manufacture of the drug cocaine. The coca leaf are used for medical purposes and in traditional religious ceremonies. For these purposes, only the cultivation and the usage of coca leaves are legal in Peru. So, chewing coca leaves is legal. The same applies to drinking mate de coca, coca tea, which is sold on every market and in every supermarket. However, be aware that these in Peru legal products may violate the laws of other countries and be prohibited. Bringing them over the border to other countries may result in hefty fines or even imprisonment for drug possession and smuggling. You could also know that the consumption may result in a positive drug test for cocaine.
Chewing coca leaf and drinking coca tea really help with altitude sickness.
From Cusco, we needed to get to Aguas Callientes, Machu Picchu Pueblo, the town nearest to Machu Picchu. The easiest way to get there is to take the train. The so-called Cusco train station is actually in the nearby town of Poroy. It's a cheap taxi ride, but give yourself at least 1 hour to get from central Cusco to the train station. Traffic in Cusco can be brutal, and seemingly never-ending roadwork makes things even more congested. If train tickets from Cusco are sold out, you can try to buy a ticket to Aguas Callientes that departs from the town of Ollantaytambo in the Secret Valley. Taxis and minivans between Ollantaytambo and Cusco are plentiful, just over an hour from Cusco and costing about $5 per person.
direction 6, Ollantaytambo, Machu Picchu, okay? For both. Once they're coming back to Machu Picchu, Ollantaytambo, to Machu Picchu. 30 minutes before, carriage and sit. That's it, enjoy your trip. Our waiting room is in Peru. You can wait there, okay?
So I don't need to print anything tomorrow?
No,
It's everything.
There are two companies with authorization to travel the train tracks to Machu Picchu. Peru Rail has 4 different quality services: Vista Dome Trains Expedition, Sacred Valley, and the Iram Bingham Luxury Train. Inca Rail has 4 different services: the Voyager, the 360-degree, the First Class, and the Private.
The price and services you'll get from each company is different. We opted for Inca Trail, quality service, the Voyager, which suited our budget. We paid around $133 per person. Whichever train you choose, book as far in advance as possible. Tickets sell out weeks ahead in some months.
This 3 hours rail journey between Cusco and Machu Picchu takes passengers through spectacular mountain scenery, dramatic canyons, and along the beautiful Urubamba River, with stops in the picturesque small towns in the foothills of the Andes.
The views were just spectacular. We left Lima at 8 in the morning and we reached Aguas Callientes at 7 p.m. We spent the night at Aguas Callientes. This is how we planned our trip to Machu Picchu, so that we could be there early in the morning the next day.
Machu Picchu's popularity put Aguas Calientes on the map. The town may not be a destination on its own right, but you can appreciate Aguas Calientes for what it is, a bustling tourism hub. The town was renamed Machu Picchu Pueblo, but it continues to go by its original name. Everything in Aguas Calientes orbits around shuttling backpackers, families, and friends to and from Machu Picchu. And hotel breakfasts start as early as 5 a.m. for guests with an early entry into the historic site. Trekkers soak their sore muscles at the hot springs, and menus del dia daily specials entice hungry travelers to restaurant tables.
Although we are in Machu Picchu Pueblo, the Machu Picchu town, we are not yet at the site. We needed to get another bus to get to the site itself.
Travelers can purchase bus tickets in Aguas Calientes and must present their ID or passports. There is only one bus company, Concentured. You need to keep in mind that if you buy tickets in Aguas Calientes, as we did, you will be queuing twice, one to buy the bus ticket and a second time to get on the bus. It is recommended to buy the ticket in advance in order not to waste time. Queues are quite long, especially during the high season.
We bought our ticket the night we arrived in Aguas Calientes. We booked a 7 a.m. bus for the next day.
Buses operate every 15 minutes or so, starting at 5:30 a.m., costing $24 return per person, and people start lining up well before that. Lines to board will be long in both directions. From Aguas Calientes, Machu Picchu is reached through the Hiram Bingham Road in 2 different ways. A trip by bus from Aguas Calientes to Machu Picchu that lasts approximately 30 minutes. A short walk from Aguas Calientes to Machu Picchu with a duration of 2 hours approximately.
As usual, we opted for the bus, not the walk. Today is the day. I feel excited. All this traveling to reach this point. We should now be able to understand what the fuss is about.
Leaving Aguas Callientes, the bus follows the main Urubamba River for about 1 mile before crossing the river and ascending the mountain to Machu Picchu.
Yet again, amazing views.
The shuttle bus terminates outside of the Sanctuary Lodge Hotel, just a few meters from the entrance of Machu Picchu.
From the entrance to the spot where you can actually see the citadel, there is about 15-minute hike.
Machu Picchu is stretched over 13 kilometers, which means that there are a lot of fascinating locations that will allow you to take a look into the lost culture of the Incas. And these locations will give us a wonderful glimpse of what this complex consists of.
We spent 4 hours of wandering and being amazed from marvel to marvel in this Inca city full of wonders.
Once you are in the citadel, you can enjoy a multitude of attractions such as the Sun Gate, considered one of the most important features of the sanctuary for its history, emblematic temple of the sun, which was built by the Incas for ceremonies to pay tribute and give offerings to the sun, the sacred rock, the principal temple, the agriculture terraces, and so on.
Muy bien orientados los 4 puntos cardinales que tienen la forma de crucero de sur que aparece.
You can also climb Huayna Picchu mountain, which rises over Machu Picchu, but the number of daily visitors allowed on Huayna Picchu is restricted to 400, and you need an extra ticket to climb the mountain.
Maybe next time we'll climb Huayna Picchu. I can only imagine the views at the top of the mountain.
Visiting the magical site of Machu Picchu takes you back in time. It makes you wonder how people were able to build this majestic building in the 15th century without tools or wheels to transport the stones. It simply leaves you speechless, especially when thinking about all the things that happened here, the people who lived here, the ceremonies that took place, and finally the day that this city was abandoned for good. There are multitude aspects that fascinate its visitors over and over. The views, the history, the rich cultural beauty, and the architecture itself. The abandoned city is surrounded by unique and breathtaking nature, which undoubtedly adds even more value to your visit.
Before my trip to Machu Picchu, I watched countless of videos about the site, yet it still took my breath away. Nothing can prepare you for what you will see, the grandeur of it all. It is really worth the effort, the money, the energy. It is really, really breathtaking. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Next time, we are taking you to Milan and the Lake Como. Till then, keep traveling. See ya.